good morning, everyone. I hope I'm audible. Can everybody hear me? Yes, everybody is able to hear me. Please respond through the question pane if you all can hear me clearly. Students, am I audible? Can you all hear me? Am I audible? Am I audible? Good morning. Can you all hear me? Please respond through the question pane if you all can hear me clearly. Please respond through the question pane if you all can hear me clearly. I hope I'm audible to everyone. Please respond. If you all can hear me, please respond. Am I audible? Good morning, Om. Can you hear me? Am I audible? Students, can you all hear me? Am I audible? Please respond to me if you all can hear me. Am I audible? Can we start the session? Please respond through the question pane with a yes if you all are ready to go ahead. All right. I hope I'm loud and clear. Everybody can hear me and see my screen. Send me number 1 if we are good to go. Good morning, everybody. Send me number 1 if we are good to go. Everything is clear. My voice, the screen is visible to everybody. All right, all right. A very happy morning, Sibi. Okay, okay. Well done. Thank you so much for responding, students. Once again, a very good morning to everyone present in the session today. I'm your mentor, Shivani Sharma from mentorbuddy.com. And these sessions are designed keeping in mind the requirements of the learners, those who are appearing for campus recruitment test. Right, I'm sure all of you are preparing for either Infosys or TCS or any other competitive examination after completing your technical qualifications. But to add on to this, other than verbal ability, what is required from us is good understanding of communication skills. When I say communication skills, it involves everything. It involves your reading skills, it involves your listening skills, and most importantly, it also involves your writing skills. As a part of any organization, as a professional, what is expected from you is that you have good enough knowledge of writing emails, good enough knowledge of preparing your own resume, of preparing a good presentation, how to deliver a good presentation, how to participate in group discussions, how to respond in interviews and all, right? So with these words, let me just start the first session of soft skills training for you all. Today, it's going to be a basic learning and a quick brush up of what we have done so far in school. And I'm sure that once you have registered for today's webinar, you must have seen the upcoming webinars also. So from next week onwards, we'll be starting with our journey of email writing, resume writing, presentation skills and all. But having said that, we all need to just brush up few basics which are essential, and sometimes these questions are also asked as a part of your campus recruitment test for Infosys and TCS, right? So let me just start with the concept of elements of effective writing. Now, when I say elements of effective writing, I want all of you to concentrate on one fact, that what do we exactly mean by effective writing, right? So effective writing is something which is readable. And when I say readable, that means it has to be clear, right? Clear in the objective, clear in the writing style, clear in, the manner and approach. It has to be accurate and it has to be concise. When I say concise, I mean brief and to the point. Students, always remember that the golden rule for communication skills is that you need to be concise, right? In your answers when you are appearing for interviews, in your presentations, in your group discussions, in your emails, in your letter writings and reports. Everything in business communication revolves around these three concepts. It has to be clear, accurate, and concise. Moreover, whenever you are writing something, try to get your ideas across in such a way that audience will understand them effortlessly, right? Don't try to make your English as complicated as Mr. Shashi Tharoor, right? I'm sure everybody is aware of who is Shashi Tharoor, right? So Mr. Shashi Tharoor, whenever he speaks in English, he makes use of so difficult words that probably, you have to sit with a dictionary in order to understand what he's speaking, right? Then moreover, the speech or the writing content that you are sharing with your, receiver of the message has to be unambiguous. Can anyone tell me what is the meaning of unambiguous? Can anyone tell me what is the meaning of unambiguous? Okay, Jivita is the first one to respond. No confusion. Okay, Krish says not clear. Spasht. Sumit says spasht. Okay. Abhishek says there's only one interpretation of a word. All right. Upasana says not clear. Very good. But all those who have written not clear as an answer, remember I've asked for unambiguous. Ambiguous means something which is not clear. Unambiguous means spasht, as Sumit said, right? Or there's only one interpretation of a word. Or precise. Yes, Om. It can be precise, it can be very clear in meaning, it can be without any dubious meaning, with something which is clear to understand, right? So whenever we are talking about business writing, it has to be unambiguous, it has to be, the people are able to understand it effortlessly, and there should be a clear interpretation and a quick interpretation of what you want to read and the message that you want to convey to your readers. Clear? So this is what we mean by effective writing. And as a matter of fact, the objective of these sessions that we'll be having on every Sundays, which are organized by MentorBuddy, the objective of these sessions are to make you, good enough writer so that you can write in an effective manner everything related with business communication, right? And what are we going to learn? As I said earlier also, we will be learning how to write emails, how to write resume, how to write cover letters, how to write, meeting reports. And remember, not only how to write, but also how to write it effectively. All right. I hope that makes sense. So there are 4 C's that we are going to keep in our mind. And remember, students, that these 4 C's are essential for not only just for effective writing, but for effective communication, right? And What are these 4 C's? Clear, concise, complete, and correct. Right? I hope that all these adjectives are self-explanatory. When I say clear, what do I mean by that? When I say clear as 4 C's of effective writing, what do I mean by this? Right? That means whenever you are writing a business communication, it has to be very clear in meaning and approach. You are not going to make use of any jargons or acronyms. You will make use of only those acronyms that are universally acceptable, right? Please avoid using any jargons or slangs when you are writing a business communication document. Be specific, right? Don't just talk about that I want to become a good professional. Now, the word good has a lot of implications, and all the definition under the sky can come under good. You need to be very precise and specific, right? You had a wound. So what size of wound? Not small wound, but a quarter sized wound, right? Many and some. Try to replace many and some with numbers. Suppose you are writing an email where you are saying, many of my friends or some of my friends are also planning to join your organization, right? So please avoid making use of indefinite pronouns like some and many. If possible, you can also mention the clear number, right? Or if you're not sure of a particular number, you can also write approximate. Provide transitions as signposts for reader, right? So whenever, let's say you are writing an email and you have a lot of points to make, you can always write like first, second, third, right? You can make use of bullets, you can make use of numbering, so that the reader is very clear about the points that you want to make or emphasize, right? And the things are crystal clear. Use examples to show instead of tell, right? So don't just tell them, rather make use of examples or figures to show them exactly what you want to say. And most importantly, those of you who have attended my class on Friday, where we have talked about direct, indirect, we have talked about active, passive, right? So for the most part, use active voice, right? And if you think that the situation desires more of passive voice, make the use of passive voice in an efficient manner. Although active voice is not always appropriate, but you will find your writing will be more effective if you use it often. Right? Don't worry, we have covered direct and indirect this Friday, right? Last Friday, that means. And the coming Friday, we will be doing with active and passive voice. So that will be helpful for you, right? As we are learning that the use of active voice makes the concept and makes our speech quite clear. So this is what we actually mean by clear. Another word for clear is unambiguous, right? Use parallel structures when you format list, right? This is not much use for you, so you can leave at this point. Now next we'll go on to the next C, that is the second C, which means concise. Concise means being brief and not just beating around the bushes, right? So when I say concise, you need to focus on what readers need to know. Always understand that in the field of business communication, or for that matter in the field of communication, the receiver of the message is more important than the sender of the message, right? So if you are writing something, you need to focus on what your readers want to know, right? Don't just assume that this is what I want to tell and I think this is most important. No, readers only want those information that they can make use of. And there is a rule that is called as what's in it for me. So whenever any person reads an email or a letter or a notice, so what the main inclination or the main approach of that person is, what is in it for me, right? So if you want to give any instructions, if you're sharing some information, that has to be very clear, concise, so that the person is able to identify it very clearly. Don't make use of longer paragraphs. Don't write complex and compound sentences. Rather, make your sentences simple, clear, make your paragraphs shorter, so that the idea and the message is concise and clear. Cut unnecessary words, right? So please understand that do not write just to show that you have very good command over English. Write to express the points in the minimum words, right? And in very short and simple language, right? Consider graphics and tables instead of lengthy text. Suppose you have to share some data, right? Or you want to, prove some point with some facts and figures. Try to make use of graphs. Try to make use of tables instead of writing everything in the form of words or sentences or paragraphs. Clear? Now, the next C that I wanted to emphasize was on correct. So the first was clear, the second was concise, the third one is correct. When I say correct, that means students, please always check your grammar and spelling. There are a lot many packages, but don't simply rely on your computer spelling and grammar check, right? Although it's a good place to start, you can make use of the grammar check, which is available on Microsoft Word. Even there are packages like Grammarly and all, which you can make use of, but finally it is your discretion, right? For example, if there is spell check, the context of the spell check, whether you want to make use of THERE there or THEIR, right? That is the choice that you have to make, that which particular word you want to emphasize as far as correct is concerned. And then the final C stands for complete. What do we mean by this? It means that you have to anticipate your readers' questions, right? A good writer is somebody who anticipates readers' questions and in the coming up lines is talking about the answers or the responses to the same. Try to avoid bias, right? When I say bias, that means don't make use of unnecessary labels. Don't make use of any kind of gender bias by using plurals, right? You can avoid gender bias by using plurals. That is, instead of writing he or she, you can always write they. And always tailor. Tailor means customize your article to the reader depending upon the needs of the reader, right? Remember what's in it for me, right? And along with that, I also want to emphasize that there's a saying in communication skills which says that English language has three golden and magical words. Can anybody tell me what are the three golden words or the magical words of English language? Can anybody tell me what are the three words, magical words of English language? I just want to see how many of you know. Okay, Anirudh, I'll just explain concise, but let me have the answer to the question that I've asked. What are the three magical words of English language? Come on, at least guess. Very good, Lakshmi. Very good, Nargis. Yes, Sumit. No, Krish. It's not birthday and wedding. Okay, yes, Shivangi Chaurasia. Good. But better not excuse me. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Most of you have given the right answer. The most hilarious one, somebody said that the three golden words are death, birth, and wedding. Okay, so yes, the three golden words are please, sorry, and thank you. Right? So try to make use of these words as much as you can in communication skills. Right? These are said to be golden words or magical words of English language. Right? It makes you, speak in a humble tone. It makes your writing also, very humble and polite. Okay? Right. So somebody asked me to elaborate on concise once again. Okay, I'll just go back to that. Not a problem. Yes. So, beta, just in one word, concise means being brief, precise, and to the point. Right? For example, somebody is asking you that what do you want to be in life? And you start your story from childhood. As a child, I always wanted to be a pilot, but when I grew up, I realized that it requires a lot of expenses and a lot of money. My parents are not very well to do off, so they won't be able to afford for my CPL. So then I decided to go in for fashion designing, and then this, and then this, and then this. That is not required. What the person who's interviewing you is asking, is interested in, was what was your ambition, or what is your ambition, not as a child but currently as an adult, right? So cut those unnecessary words, make your sentences very simple and precise, right? And come straight away to the point. Don't just beat around the bushes. We'll be dealing more of, with this approach when we'll be discussing about email writing. Am I clear on this? Any more questions so far? Any questions? If you don't have any question, respond in the question pane with number 2. Yes, Hemant, you can make use of the word kindly also. Students, please respond with number 2 if we are good to go to the next slide. Come on, quickly. I just have got few responses. I have more than 100 students in the class. Come on, be quick. Okay. Right, Sumit, please park your question for the end of the session. I'll surely take this up because I'm sure that most of you would like to know the answer. Okay, please keep this question with you. I'll take this up at the end of the class, right, beta? Let me just complete the session first. Okay, all right. So we have discussed the 4 C's of effective writing, and now I'm going to show you certain tips for business writing, which will be handy for you and which will act as a kind of a brush up for what we have done so far, right? Please keep these tips handy with you. It will be helpful not only in the present context and scenario, but once you'll be working with an organization as a professional, then also you're going to make use of all these skills. I am also working as a corporate trainer. So I teach students across different ages. I teach graduates and postgraduates. I teach corporate professionals. I teach working professionals, right, having 5 to 10 years of experience and even more than that, right? And everywhere the problem remains the same. Why? Because we make our learning very stage specific. For example, you will consider, ma'am, what is the need for me to understand communication skills as of now, right? Why do you think so? Because you think that you are just a student right now, you don't require business communication. Right. So tell me one thing, students, when you will be joining corporate, then you will be attending these communication skills classes again to learn the business communication as a professional then. No, isn't it? So please assume that down the line, once you will be in the role of a corporate professional, how you will be, involved in business writing skills. So these are the tips which you have to understand as of now, right? One second, I think this link is not working. Just a second. Let me open it from YouTube. Just allow me a second, please. This is a very crisp and precise video. I just wanted to share this with you all so that you will also learn what do we mean by being concise, right?
Business writing is any written communication used in a professional setting, including emails, memos, and reports. It's direct, clear, and designed to be read easily. And with practice, you can become an effective business writer. So whenever you're writing a business document, get to the point quickly. Tell your readers what they need.
Are you all able to hear the audio? Okay.
Need to know up front, so have to hunt for direct, clear, and designed to be read easily. And with practice, you can become an effective business writer. So whenever you're writing a business document, get to the point quickly. Tell your readers what they need to know up front so they don't have to hunt for it. Make every sentence short and direct while keeping your paragraphs brief. Doing this will add focus while making your document easy to read and remember. Most business writing needs a call to action, which is information that instructs and encourages a response from your readers. It lets them know what they should do, where to go, and so on. In addition to being professional, keep your writing polite. Consider using a brief greeting or conclusion, and remember that offering courtesies like please and thank you go a long way. Revision is a key part of good writing, so after you finish your first draft, read it over and figure out what works and what doesn't. Clarify sentences, simplify word choices, and organize the structure until everything flows in a logical order. As part of your revision process, try reading your work aloud or ask someone to give you feedback. Both of these methods can help you discover new perspectives and ideas. With so much to read and rewrite, don't be surprised if it takes a few revisions before your document is polished and ready to go. Remember, business writing is a skill that takes a lot of practice to develop, but as you improve, you will possess an incredibly valuable job skill.
I hope that it acted as a quick revision for whatever we have done so far, isn't it? Right? So now let us resume our presentation with the next slide. Now, as you must have read that today in this session, we are also going to talk about the different kinds of sentences and the phrases and clauses. So I thought that let me first emphasize that why we are discussing these concepts, right? So we are clear with the 4 C's, and the video that I've shown to you just now, it basically summarizes and a kind of a recap for whatever I have discussed so far in the past 29 minutes, right? Now, let us just talk about the different kinds of sentences, and please listen to it carefully. You can take a screenshot also, right? Now we are talking about the basics of grammar, as we do understand that grammar is the backbone of any language. So it is very important for us also that if we want to write flawless English, we should understand the basics. So students, if we are going to classify the sentences based on the structure, there are 4 kinds of sentences, right? So on the basis of the structure, there are 4 kinds. The first is the simple sentence. Second is compound sentence. Third is complex sentence. And fourth is compound complex sentence. Remember, I told you just now that if you want to write effective English, make your sentences simple, right? Because that is the rule of business communication. So simple sentence is one that has only one complete thought, right? The subject may be either simple or compound. The predicate may also be either simple or compound. We'll be discussing more about this. Then what is a compound sentence? Compound sentence consists of two or more simple sentences, right, which are closely related in thought. So a simple sentence will be I'm going to market, and the compound sentence will be I'm going to market to buy fruits and vegetables. Okay. Complex sentence. Now, in a complex sentence, there is an independent clause and at least one dependent clause. Now, you must be wondering, ma'am, what is this independent and dependent clause? Don't worry. I'm going to take up the details of what are the clauses in the coming up slides, right? So, I'll be discussing more about phrases and types of clauses in the coming up slides. And then finally, the fourth type of sentence according to the structure is compound complex sentence. So this basically consists of two independent clauses and one or more dependent clauses, right? So keep this information handy with you. There are four kinds of sentences: simple, compound, complex, and compound complex sentences, right? And we'll be discussing about the different types of clauses. Now, I'm sure that all of us as students in our schools have studied of the different types of sentences, right? So we have read, right? English grammar is easy. Now, this is a simple sentence, right? Now, this slide is showing you few examples of whatever we have done. So just now we have studied that there's a simple sentence. So simple sentence is like English grammar is easy. Then we have compound sentences. Now, in compound sentences, you'll find that it is joined, right? Why? Because we are talking about two independent clauses. So it has to be joined with some coordinator or conjunction or adverb or semicolon. For example, grammar is easy, so I learned it quickly, right? Then we have complex sentence. In a complex sentence, it has one independent and one or more dependent clauses. Like, because grammar is easy, I learned it quickly, right? So this is a complex sentence. And then compound complex sentence, it has two independent clauses and one or more dependent clause. Like, because grammar is easy, I learned it quickly, but it took me many months to master it, right? The last line is not clear. So because grammar is easy, I learned it quickly, but it took me many months to master it, right? Now here you will find that there are two or more dependent clauses when we are writing it. Even if you're not able to understand clearly the compound complex sentence, at least try to make your mastery for the first three: simple, compound, and complex. Right. Now, the earlier demarcation or classification was on the basis of the sentence structure. We can also understand the different types of sentence depending upon the purpose of writing. Right. So there are four kinds of sentence according to purpose. One is declarative, second is imperative, third is interrogative, and fourth is exclamatory, right? So what are declarative sentence? Declarative sentence, very simple. It makes a statement and you will find that it ends with a period or a full stop, right? Like this. Okay. Then we have imperative sentence. So any sentence that talks about command, order, request, suggestion are called as imperative sentences. It also ends with a period, right? And if it's a strong command, right? Remember, imperative sentence is having command, request, suggestions, right? And if that command is strong, it will end with an exclamation point. This is the news, isn't it? Because we have studied so far that any sentence that ends with an exclamation mark is an exclamatory sentence, which is completely not true, right? In imperative sentences also, if it is showing strong command, it will end with an exclamation point. Then we have interrogative sentence. In interrogative sentence, it ends with a question mark undoubtedly, and it asks a question. Okay, so that is an interrogative sentence. And finally, exclamatory sentence, certainly Exclamatory sentence ends with an exclamation point or exclamation mark. And what are we showing in exclamatory sentences? We show excitement, right? Or we are expressing very strong feeling in exclamatory sentence. That is why the strong commands, right, also has an exclamation mark, and it will come as an imperative sentence only, right? So we have done two types of classification of sentences, one on the basis of structure and the other on the basis of purpose. So on the basis of structure, we have simple, compound, complex, and compound complex. And sentences according to purpose are declarative, imperative, interrogative, and exclamatory sentence, right? I hope that concepts are clear now. Any questions so far, students, so that we can quickly move on to clause and phrase? Any questions? There's nothing very, critical or very confusing in this concept. This is something which we have been studying for many years now. Okay, Abhishek, I will be discussing few examples with you. Just wait. I have a quiz for you all. They will be discussing about the types of sentences. It has a question of this. Yes, I will share the example of imperative sentence with exclamation mark. Don't worry. All right. Okay. Right. So let's proceed on phrase and clause now. Right. So here you can see what is a clause. As a student, we have always studied in a school that phrase is a group of words which do not make complete sense, and a clause is a group of words that make a complete sense. To make it more precise, a clause is a group of words which contains a subject and a verb, right? And a phrase is a group of words without a subject and verb component. Now, a clause can be an independent clause also and a dependent clause also. And if you want to write a meaningful sentence, it has to be a combination of both, right? So an independent clause makes sense on its own, just like a sentence. For example, I went to school, right? Now this is a clause. It has a subject and a verb. What is the subject here? Subject is I. What is the verb here? Verb is went, right? So this is a clause which is complete in its sense and can be termed as a sentence also, right? But we also have a dependent clause, right? Now, dependent clause means it does not make the entire sense on its own, just like a sentence. For example, although I was not feeling well, right? Now, it also has a subject and a verb, but it requires a conditional clause or an independent clause to make it complete, right? Although I was not feeling well, then also I went to school. Yeah, I went to school although I was not feeling well, right? So this is how we are going to completely make it a sentence, right? Then we have phrases, a group of words without a subject verb component. We have noun phrase like best friend. We have verb phrase, which is including verb like working, was working. Adjective phrase, which talks about or which adds something to the noun, like very pretty. Adverb phrase, which adds to verb, for example, really slowly. And prepositional phrase, for example, in the bin, right? So these are the examples of phrases. Clear? Now, there are a few points which I want you all to remember. A group of words joins together to make a phrase, right? This is how you can define what is a phrase. A clause always contains a subject and a verb, right? And there are three types of clauses. Please make a note of this. One is main clause, second is subordinate clause, and third is relative clause. What are the main clause? Which makes sense on its own. I went to school, right? Subordinate clause, does not make sense on its own. It must be attached to a main clause. Although I was not feeling well was the subordinate clause, right? So I went to school although I was not feeling well. Oh yeah, although I was not feeling well, I went to school. Then there's one more type of clause that is called as relative clause. So relative clause is basically a special type of subordinate clause which starts with a relative pronoun and tell you more about the noun in the main clause, right? We'll be discussing more about this as an example. If we just focus on the example that we have done right now, although, right? Although I was not feeling well. So it will be termed as a relative clause only. Then we have conjunctions like so, as, because, right? Although. So these are all conjunctions that link clauses together because we have to relate two different thoughts to each other. So there must be a conjunction or a connector which can either come between the two sentences or can also come at the beginning of the sentence. Clear? Now, very importantly, these kind of questions are can be asked in your recruitment test. You must be wondering, ma'am, this is not verbal ability. I know, beta, this is not verbal ability, but these are basics of English writing. So you need to understand these basics in order to write flawless English, right? As a part of your email writing, I thought that let me just keep this session as a grounding session so that we can take off from here. So next class will be starting with the format, the basics, the do's and don'ts of email writing, and we'll be doing some practice in the class also. Okay. Now, based on the function that they perform in the sentence, clauses can be categorized as the first is noun clause. What is a noun clause? Any group of word which contains a subject and predicate of its own, and it also does the work of a noun is termed as a noun clause. Let me show you an example. I like what I see, right? Or I like cakes. Now here you will see that this highlighted portion is a clause that is functioning as a noun. I like what I see. Okay. Then we also have adjective clause. Adjective clause usually comes after the noun. It qualifies and is made up of several words, which, like all clauses, will include a subject and a verb. Like adjective questions, what kind, how many, or which one. So have a look at the example. The umbrella which has a broken handle is mine. Okay, so the highlighted portion is a clause and it is functioning as an adjective. We are referring to an umbrella. Which umbrella are we referring to? Which has a broken handle. Okay, and whose umbrella is that? That is mine. So like this we have adjective clause. And the third kind of clause is adverb clause. What is an adverb clause? An adverb clause is a group of words which contains a subject and predicate of its own and does the work of an adverb. So what does an adverb basically answers? How, when, where, and why. So these are the words that are, these are the questions that are answered with an adverb clause. Excuse me. You may sit wherever you like. Right. So sit wherever you like. Where do you want to sit? Wherever you like. Right. So this is an adverb clause or an example of an adverb clause. Now, so far we have discussed the different types of clauses, noun, adjective, and adverb. We will be doing some practice questions now to identify the clauses, right? Now, here you can see on the screen, there are 4 statements. What you have to do is you have to identify the clauses and then you have to point whether it is a noun clause, adjective clause, and adverb clause, right? So we'll take each sentence one by one. The bankers need to know what they should do. The bankers need to know what they should do. What is the clause in the first sentence? Okay, and which kind of clause is this? Okay, Jivita is saying adverb, Hemant is saying noun. Rohan, let me just complete this and then I'll tell you about dependent clause again. Okay, beta? Okay. So the bankers need to know what they should do. What is the clause here? What is the clause and what kind of clause? Right. So the clause here is what they should do. Right. And which kind of clause is this? Noun. Why? Because this is noun. What they should do. Okay. So this is a noun clause. Now look at the second example. The books which are lost are not really necessary. I think you're able to get the answer. The books which are lost are not really necessary. What is the clause here in option B, in statement B? Okay, man, which are lost, and most of you are saying adjective, some of you are also saying adverb, which are lost. Okay, fine. So I think most of you are able to identify what is the clause here. The clause is which are lost, but what kind of clause is this? Let me just show you the response. Very good. All of you who could answer it correctly. Very nice. So this is which are lost is a clause. And what kind of clause is this? This is an adjective clause. Why? Because it is referring to the noun clause. And what is the noun? And what is the noun here? Books. Clear? So this is how we identify. Now look at the next statement. Whether you like it or not, you have to go to bed now. Statement C. Tell me what is the clause here and what kind of clause is this? Whether you like it or not, you have to go to the bed now. Okay. So most of the students are saying whether you like it or not. Okay. And are saying that this is an adverb clause. Let me have a look at the response. Let me show the response to you all. Very good. So whether you like it or not, right? And this is an adverb clause. What is the verb here? You have to go to bed now. So anything that adds on to the verb is called as adverb, right? So whether you like it or not, you have to go to bed now. Right. So the next sentence is students who are intelligent get good grades. So in statement D, what do you think is a clause? Okay, very good. Okay, so a lot of why only few people are responding? Come on, be quick. Okay, very nice. Right. So let me just show you the answer to this statement. Very nice. And although I think everybody unanimously said the adjective clause. Very good. I hope that now the concept is clear. Right. So who are intelligent is the clause and it's an adjective clause. Why? Because it is qualifying the noun. And what is the noun? The noun is the students. Clear? Very good. Very good. And I'm sure that you people have got all four correct. Now let us have a look at this. No one knows he is. No one knows he is. Do you think it's a clause? What kind of clause is this? Sorry, I missed out a word here. No one knows who he is. Right. So who he is. I missed out a word here. I'm so sorry. Right. So who he is the clause and this is a noun clause. Clear? Let us have a look at more examples of clauses and types. When I was younger, I thought so. When I was younger, I thought so. Yes, students? When I was younger, I thought so. Come on, what is the answer to F? What kind of clause is this? What is the answer? Quickly. Okay, I was younger. All right. When I was younger, adverb, noun clause, adverb, adverb, adjective. When I was younger is clause. Okay. Let me just show you the answer. Very good. Those of you have got it right. Akanksha, very good. Mayank, very good. Sumit, good. Yes, it's an adverb clause. Right. Amrita, why do you think it was an adjective clause, beta? Right? It's not an adjective clause, right? When I was younger, it's an adverb clause. It is qualifying the verb. Okay? Now, he laughs best who laughs last. He laughs best who laughs last. Come on, quickly. What is the clause here and what kind of clause is this? Come on. Okay. Akanksha is the first one to give the response. Okay. Sumit is saying who laughs last is an adjective clause. Sorry, this is a tongue twister, seems to be right. He laughs best who laughs last. Isn't it? You can use this as a tongue twister also. All right. Right. Let's have a look at the answer. Okay. Very good, Sumit. Akanksha, Prabhat, Hemant, Ame, Shraddha. Right? Very good. So who laughs last is the clause here, and this is an adjective clause. All right. I went to see what had happened. I went to see what had happened. What do you think is this? I went to see what had happened. Is what is the clause here and what kind of clause is here? I went to see what had happened. What had happened is noun clause. Okay. Let me show you the answer. What had happened, right? And it's a noun clause. Okay. Very good. I hope that the concept of this is clear to everybody now. Right. Now let me just show you the last one. He met a girl whose eyes were blue. Right. So whose eyes were blue is the clause, and we are referring to the girl. So this is an adjective clause. I shall remain where I am. What is the clause here? The clause is where I am, and this is an adverb clause. Clear? I hope that the concept is clear. Now let me just show you an interesting video on phrases and clauses. So some of you were asking me to elaborate on dependent and independent clause again. So I thought that let me just share this with you so that you can understand the concept. This video is talking about the differences and similarities between the phrases and clauses, right? So this will probably answer your questions related with the dependent and the independent clauses, as this video very beautifully talks about the not only the differences but the similarities also with wonderful examples. So let me just show this to you. Please give me a second to play the video. Can you all see the video?
Grammar lessons. Today, we are going to learn about phrases versus clauses. This is very commonly asked question. So, we will try to understand.
what they exactly are, and what's the difference between them. Let's get started. Start with an example. My best friend and John is my best friend. Now, both of them are group of words. One is a phrase and another is a clause. Identify which one is the phrase and which one is the clause. Let me give you a hint. From these two group of words, the group of word which has a subject and the verb combination is a clause. The one which doesn't have the subject verb combination is a phrase. How can you identify? My best friend is a group of words with no subject and a verb. So it's a phrase. John is my best friend is having a subject verb combination. John as a subject, is as a verb. So it's a clause. Now let's define both of them properly with more examples to make things clear. We will go with phrases. What is a phrase? Phrase is a group of words with no subject verb combination. It doesn't have any meaning if it is used alone. For example, the sports car. It is a group of words with a noun and an adjective. Watch movie. It is a group of words having verb. The table. It is a group of words having preposition and noun. It doesn't have any meaning if it is used alone. So phrases are actually group of words which are used as a single unit in a sentence. Let's look at clauses. What is a clause? Clause is a group of words with a subject and a verb combination. It has a complete meaning by itself. Clauses are mainly divided into two parts based on their usage. Maybe an independent clause or a dependent clause. An independent clause actually a complete sentence. For example, you were in the party. It is a complete sentence and it doesn't depend on any another sentence to make it complete. Now, what is a dependent clause then? It is a group of words with a subject verb combination, but it doesn't convey full meaning and hence it is not used as a sentence. For example, when I came home, as a subject I and a verb came. It is also a meaningful group of words, but it lacks the entire thought. That is, when I came home, then what? That is, we want to know what happened after that. Now, if I say, when I came home, you were in the party. That's a complete sentence with one dependent clause and one independent clause. We have the combination of dependent and independent clause make a meaningful sentence. Let's look into some more examples of dependent and independent clauses. First, before you go to bed, you have to finish your homework. Here, before you go to bed cannot be used alone as it won't convey any meaning. It's a dependent clause, whereas you have to finish your homework is an independent clause as it can be used alone. Combining them both will give a complete meaning to a sentence. After a month of research, he finally finished his first novel. Here, after a month of research is a dependent clause and he finally finished his novel is an independent clause. See one more example to make things even clear. I hate to drink coffee because it upsets my stomach. Here, I hate to drink coffee is an independent clause, while it upsets my stomach is a dependent clause. Now, I think you are clear with dependent and independent clauses. We are done.
I hope that now you all are clear with the concept of dependent and independent clauses. Isn't it? Any questions so far? Any questions so far, students, from dependent and independent clauses? No? I hope that the concept is clear, independent and dependent clauses. Send me number 1 if the concept of dependent and independent is clear now. Send me number 1. Okay, good. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. So we are done with the time. Let me quickly have a look at this 4 sentence type quiz because you were asking me, ma'am, please give an example where in imperative sentence we make use of exclamatory mark, right? So let us quickly have a look at this quiz of types of sentences as we have done this also types of sentence. So let's also check our understanding. So come on, be quick. Send me your responses through the question box. Which type of sentence must end with a question mark? It's very simple and clear. What is the answer to question number 1? Quickly, quickly, you can send me the answers. Number 1, number 2, number 3. Come on. Which type of sentence must end with a question mark? So the correct answer is option A, that is interrogative, right? A sentence that is used to give someone an order or a command. We have just now discussed this. What is the answer to question number 2? Sentence that is used to give someone an order or command. Very good. All of you have got it right. So the answer to question number 2 is B, imperative. What is the function of a declarative sentence? In a declarative sentence, what do we do? It's ask, tell, or surprise. Answer to question number 3. So in a declarative sentence, we tell about, right? Now, what does an exclamatory sentence usually end with? Very simple. It ends with an exclamation mark. All right. And here it is. Sit down and be quiet. What type of sentence is this? Yes, students. Question number 5. Sit down and be quiet. What type of question is this? What type of sentence is this? Sorry. As you all can see that sit down and be quiet is ending with an exclamatory mark. What do you think? It's an exclamative sentence or an imperative sentence? Yes. Is it an exclamatory sentence or an imperative sentence? Come on, quickly. Yes. Sit down and be quiet. Very good. It's an imperative sentence. But I wonder that some of you are writing the spelling of imperative wrong. Very good. And I hope that this answers the question which some of you have asked. Ma'am, please give an example where we are making use of exclamation mark with an imperative sentence, right? So this is the example. If it would have been an exclamatory sentence, we would have talked about feelings and emotions. But here we are giving an order and ending it with an exclamation mark. So always remember, if it's a strong order or request, we can end it with an exclamation mark, but it will be an imperative sentence. I hope that answers the query that most of you have made. Clear, bachcho? Right, very good. So this was an example of imperative sentence. So this brings us to the end of the session, right? Thank you so much for joining, and I hope that everybody enjoyed the session, right? Thank you so much for being such lovely and interactive students. And let me just show you something which is of importance. So all those who want to connect with me and have some or the other issues, you can write to us. Sorry, right? So you can write to me on feedback.mentorpity@gmail.com. I'm open to all your suggestions, feedbacks, comments, right? If you are facing any issues with the sessions, you can write on support@mentorpity.com. I'm sure that all of you are receiving the webinar certificates. Please upload it on LinkedIn and tag us. Visit our website, Center of Excellence and MentorBuddy, for all the resources which are available for all of you free of cost. And you can register for the upcoming webinars also on Center of Excellence, right? Thank you so much, students. Hope everybody enjoyed the session. And all the wishes, keep on practicing. Please do write to me if you're facing any challenges, right? Thank you. Okay, now I'm open to the questions, please. I will take up the questions for next 2 minutes. Those who are done can leave the session. Thank you so much. God bless and take care. Thank you so much, Om. For the recording of this session, please write on support@mentorbuddy. I'm not very sure whether the recording is available or not. PPT will also be shared by support@mentorbuddy. Thank you, everybody. Any other questions? Any other questions? Please write on support@mentorbuddy for recordings. For certificates also, please write on support@mentorbuddy.com. No, Shivangi, there will be no exam after all sessions. These sessions are for self-improvement and skill upgradation, right? If you're not attending, if you're not getting the certificates, please write on support@mentorbuddy.com. And if you want to connect with me, you can write on feedback.mentorbuddy@gmail.com. Right? Okay, for recordings and for everything, please write on support@mentorbuddy.com. Thank you so much, guys. All the very best. Take care. We're meeting next Friday, 8 p.m. for active and passive voice, and next Sunday, 11 a.m. for email writing. Thank you so much. God bless.